All right. Welcome, everybody. How is everybody doing? I am Brian Fanzo, better known as iSocialFans on the Twitters, on the Blab as well. And I'm excited. It's a Friday afternoon, and we're continuing. This is part 2 of our conversation. If you missed part 1, I will throw the link to part 1 in the comments section here in a couple minutes. But we were talking about really a new wearable technology and a new concept that, not only is I excited to support, but it really matches and follows in my philosophy of show you care and kind of going above and beyond to reach out and touch people. So Eddie, if you can give us kind of a quick recap on really the tool, the wearable, what we kind of talked about, and then we'll jump into some of the questions. So for those that have questions about the technology, about the idea, feel free to use /Q on in the comments section, and we'll make sure to bring in some of your questions. I did record a couple of the questions from last episode, so I'll bring those in as well. So Eddie, send us on our way.
That's great. Thanks, Brian. I know Brian will do some things to make sure you guys have links to the recorded session we had last time. He's doing that. I'd encourage you to watch that because we had an awesome first session once we got some of the technology issues out of the way. We went over an hour with like over 100 people engaged on 3 different platforms. It was super fun for me to do that about a week ago. So if you can go back and watch that, maybe later you'll enjoy it. And then today, we're making good on a promise, I guess, that we made last session, and that was we had so many incredible comments and questions that you guys had. We just couldn't get to them all. So I said, you know what, Brian, let's just set aside time next week and let's answer these questions one by one. I think one of the barriers that we're having to get in the technology with more traction on the Indiegogo campaign, which is another link we're going to give you before the day's over. And we are going to make a special offer today for folks that are tuned in on Blab, but hang in there for that. But one of the reasons that it's difficult maybe is getting people to just understand the technology. And we're all, wanting to get online and read about something really quick and understand it really quick and execute. And I have to confess, this is my fault. This technology takes a little bit of time to comprehend what we're trying to do and the opportunities you're going to have using it. But if you'll just give us a few of those minutes and answer these questions, let me answer these questions, which are all good ones, I think we'll have a better understanding of it. And maybe we'll get a little more traction to people wanting to support it going forward.
So, I have my, let me pull up my tack puck. So I have mine here in front of me, but can I give people a little bit of overview? So the idea here is, you hear sensory messaging and you hear wearable technology, and then you hear dimensions of new communication. Yeah. And, we talked about it before. If you would have imagined, if someone would have told you text message would be how we communicate, not phone, people would have said you're crazy, right? You're going to pick up your phone and type everything instead of just saying it. Like, that doesn't sound like it's crazy. So, our title of our last show was actually, is text messaging dead? Is this going to replace text messaging? And so here's the puck there, but give everybody kind of the background, like a quick overview of what the technology is behind this. And I think that'll kind of help frame some of these conversations.
Great. We'll start with the wearable first, and then we'll talk about the app. But I'm just going to do this briefly. I think a lot of you are probably repeat visitors, and I don't want to not give you new content today. So the program, the technology does revolve around a wearable. And the reason that a wearable makes sense is in order to send sensory messaging, in order to basically send a short message like a Snapchat or some kind of text message from one person to a group of people, what have you, or one person to another person, and feel it, you have to have something up against your skin. You've got to have a device or something that stays against your skin. Ladies, not in your pocketbook. Guys, not laying on the seat beside you. In order to feel the message, you got to have something against your skin. So with the wearable technology where it is today, we can create that sensation. We can create the deliverance of the stimuli that you'll feel using the wearable. Now, so we call it a tack puck. I'll answer some more questions about the tack puck in detail. Brian's got one there. The tack puck is a very small device. It's a little bit bigger than a U.S. quarter. If that gives you kind of the scale, and of course a little bit thicker, but it's designed to be worn like a Fitbit or other wearables that you would wear. We don't like to tell people how or where to wear the tack puck. You can wear it anywhere you want as long as it's against your skin so that you can feel the message. Now, the application, let me finish it. The tack puck can deliver about 5 different combinations of stimuli. So we have vibration, and by vibration, there's lots of different intensities of vibrations or spacings between the vibrations, so they feel different ways, and you can discern different messages using those vibratory patterns. There's a light ring around the outside. You can kind of see it in the visual behind me, which will light up in almost an infinite number of colors, but probably around 20 different discernible colors. So you can actually see the signature of someone that might be sending the message or might be part of the message. It also has what I consider to be the most fun technology is in the tack puck itself. There's a button that will actually pop out and protrude and change the shape, the form factor of the puck when you receive that message. So we laughed last week and said, hey, finally, Facebook fans, you'll have a way to actually poke somebody using the tack puck. So I won't go into a lot more detail on that, but those are the basic stimuli, and combinations of those stimuli, including sound, including tones, will help you receive the message against your skin in a way that you won't have to consult your phone, and you'll be able to feel the message very indiscreetly. Now, can we talk about the app for a minute?
Sure.
So Tack Space behind me there is the actual name of the app. We refer to that name as kind of the whole gamut of product and the whole idea around sensory messaging. But Tack Space is let's start with this, the free application, mobile app that you'll be able to download and use. And by the way, let me go ahead and say this. If you decide at some point in the future, I hope you don't, but if you decide that, you know what, I don't want to wear this wearable, or maybe I want to have this wearable, but some of my friends that want to send me sensory messaging don't want this wearable, anyone having the free app will be able to send a sensory message to someone else. So maybe you want to buy a tack puck for one of your friends that's maybe going through some difficulty in their lives. Maybe they're under medical treatment, or maybe they're unfortunately hospitalized or something like that. They would have the puck, but you wouldn't need one to be able to use the free app to send them these sensory messages. So what is the app all about? Well, you know what? Let's just compare it to Snapchat for a minute. Look how easy Snapchat is to use. You go in and you bring in all your contacts, right? And you and your contacts agree that they too want to join you in being able to send and receive sensory messages. So you build this network of friends, just like you do on any other social platform, right? When you go to use the app, one of the first things you're going to have to do is pair your puck with your phone, just like anything else, like in your car, when you pair Bluetooth to your car so that you can speak on the car and so forth. That's going to be your first initial setup steps. But when you go to send the sensory messages, there's only 3 steps. One is you select the person or persons from your list that you want to send it to. 2, you select the message you want to send from a prescribed, predetermined list of messages. So if I want to say, hey, happy birthday, Brian, or if I want to say, hey, let's meet at the office, or if I want to send to my wife, hey, I'm thinking of you today, those will all be prescribed messages that I'll choose. And the 3rd step is hit send. That's it. Choose your audience, choose your message, hit send, and the message will be delivered.
So, you know, my friend Ted Rubin, we just have our new show called No Let Up, and his daughter's in college. And Ted is really big on return on relationships and inspired a lot of the stuff that I do. And everything we were talking about today was actually, how do you go above and beyond to let somebody know that you care? How do you, rather than just sending someone a tweet, you send them a message. I will say it, again, Ed, when you sent me the tack puck and the stuff for this interview, you sent, pairs of socks, frozen socks for my daughters, right? To me, that's going above and beyond, right? And Ted Rubin, not only would he love that, but he's big into socks, so he'd love that even more. But, one of the things I was thinking about, so Ted has a daughter in college. His daughter doesn't like picking up the phone and calling him, barely text messages, but he loves every one of those things. The fact if she had one of these tech pucks, on her necklace or maybe on her keychain, and he could send a message and it would vibrate or it'd show a color, and just letting her know, hey, I'm thinking about you. Hey, daddy's here if you need me. That ability, to me, that's the part that gets exciting, because we do live in the world where we're going to have our phone on us. And maybe if, certain people we give these pucks to, it gives us the ability just to let them know we're there for them. And I think that's kind of one of those things that, you don't think of technology oftentimes of making it feel like a hug or a more warming experience. But I really think that's kind of what this message is going. So I did want to pull one of the questions in. NC Roxanne said, will you change the size of the sensor if needed to be smaller?
Well, I think the form factor for the puck itself is going to change over time. Just like anything else, just like the Apple phone, when it came out, it had one particular size and form factor. And then over time, it evolves in version 1, version 2, version 3. We've tried to be very thoughtful about the size. It needs to be small enough so you can wear it indiscreetly. It's not bulging out of your clothes or anything like that, but not so small that you tend to lose it easily or a child might swallow it, which would be a horrible thing, to happen. So we've tried to be very thoughtful about the form factor. And I'm going to be straight, honest, and transparent as I always am. When we launch this, and again, you'll have the opportunity to pre-purchase your tack puck on the Indiegogo campaign to allow us to get funded. We're going to make it of one size, the size that you see there that Brian's got, because that's what we've engineered. We know that'll fit the rechargeable battery. We know that'll include the Bluetooth chip and other printed circuit boards that you guys probably don't want to talk about. But it takes a little bit of room to get all that in there. So it's pretty much kind of the size of a Misfit Shine or one of those other wearables that are reasonably successful.
So, one of the questions was about customizing your message. And I know that's one that actually I love, right? So, you can send, unique messages. And Joe Jan said, that, the idea that, one vibrate means something, or maybe a vibrate and a light means something else. I even joked when you were talking about sensory, right? So you were doing the vibration, but also it has the little edge on it on the puck to where you could actually make it feel even above and beyond that. You can put it in the jewelry. So I think from my standpoint, my wife's a teacher, so she's constantly busy, can't text message during the day. But the idea that I could let her know, if I could give her messages like, hey, I picked up our oldest daughter from preschool, and she knows that 2 green lights and a vibration means that I picked up the girls from school. To me, that is a powerful message. But is there anything else on the customization that I kind of didn't get? Because I think that's a great question. It's not just sending one vibration like a smartwatch. We both are Pebble Watch wearers, and we get a vibration on our wrist. But this goes on to, you can wear it on your jewelry, you can wear it on your keychain. You have different places and things that you can use it. But you can also customize the message far more than just your typical ring or vibration of a phone or a smart device.
I always hesitate to go down this path, but I think that your audience, our audience here, it looks like 80-some people on here. That's incredible. You're early adopters. You wouldn't be on this call, on this blab, if you didn't want to be one of the first ones to participate, in this technology. And you would be. There's no one else that's going to have this opportunity in the first round to be able to get this product out to people. I don't know if you'll like this or not. I want you to help me craft and evolve this product and the language that goes along with this product in a way that satisfies you. I hope you appreciate the honesty that I'm saying in that. We have not written the 50 pre-programmed messages. We have not written the 50 something vibrated messages and the stimuli to go along with it. We've done some. Okay, we've given it some thought, but you know what? You're the user. I want to know what you think the stimuli pattern should be for meet me at home. I want you to tell me what you think the best combination of stimuli pattern should be for I'm ready for pickup at the airport. Or I want you to tell me for your kids, hey, when I want them to come home from whatever they're doing, immediately it's time for dinner, that kind of thing. My mom would ring a dinner bell. I want you to tell me, what do you think the stimuli message should be for that? So there will be a universal language. See if that makes sense. A universal language of, let's say for now, 50 messages that will all have the same thing in meaning and will have the same stimuli. But what if you and your close friend or partner or buddy or significant other say, hey, I'd like to write my own sensory message. I've got something special that I say to my brother or my wife or my girlfriend or my husband that's unique from any of those 50 messages. You will have the freedom to create that message just in your menu. And you'll get to determine what stimuli goes along with that. By stimuli, you know what I'm talking about. The light, the vibration pattern, the pop-out button, whatever combination of those you want between you and your other special person. And only you two would know what that means. Now, maybe over time, you would expand that to a smaller group and then a bigger group. And the next thing you know, TaxSpace decides to adopt your particular message as part of our standard menu. So it would grow from there. People like you would be involved in what I call establishing a new language. Are you kidding me? Yeah. We're going to write a new language. We're going to start with simple messages, and we're going to grow and grow, and we're going to have definitive combinations of stimuli associated with those. And you watch me. Since there's no language barrier to sensory messaging, did you hear that? I don't care what country you're in or where you are, a hug's a hug. So once we establish these sensory messages with no language barrier, people will adopt, people will grow. They'll want to be part of the movement. They'll want to get tagged.
No, I love that. And I love the idea, part of this comes down to also is really how do you kind of go above and beyond to, not only reach out, but I like the idea where you said languages, right? I grew up, my next door neighbor, his mom spoke only Italian, and we could never really convey a message to her other than, having someone in the house that was, spoke fluent Italian as well. And I think the idea that this isn't limited, right? You can send vibrations, you can send different colors, different patterns. Now, Roxanne said she was thinking of medical reasons, not just fallen and I can't get up.
Well, Roxanne is a smart woman. We've had a number of smart women chime in and say that. So let's say you do have an elderly relative and you're concerned about their health, constantly if they've fallen or if they've had some kind of accident. Now, I'm not going to tell you that this has some inert ability to press a button and it'll dial 911. I don't want to mislead anybody. I'm very transparent and honest about this. But here's what it could do. If you were to check on your grandmother, let's say, by sending her a sensory message and she felt it, she would know, if you discuss this with her, that she could press the button that's also on the backside of the tack puck, and immediately a response would come back to you. And you would feel that response too, or you'd be able to see it on your phone. Either way, but hopefully you'll just be able to receive it and feel it. So your message would simply be selected from a menu. Are you okay? Grandma, how's it going? That's all. She would receive it, right? Grandma might not want to try to learn 50 different messages, but she would know that is the message with that light from her granddaughter saying, "Are you okay?" And if grandmother will press the button on the back side, she doesn't have to do any more than that. The message will go back to the sender, and that message will say, "Hey, I'm fine. I'm okay." If she doesn't return the message within a few minutes, you may want to call her and see if there's some kind of emergency. So staying in contact with people that are a little disabled and maybe alone and in a dangerous position is a great application. And that's why I like this platform and Blab session. It is not just me answering questions, but you guys coming up with incredible ideas for application.
Yeah, and one of the ideas that really hit home with me on our last show that we did was, the idea that I could kind of give my daughters a hug goodnight, right? I travel a lot and I have a drop cam and I talk to them on FaceTime, but the idea that I could take the puck and put it inside of one of their favorite animals, or I could put it in their favorite blankie, and whenever they're going to bed, me sending them a message is like, "Hey, Daddy's thinking about you. Daddy cares." I think that's it's a step beyond me getting on FaceTime and me just watching them on a drop camera. So there's also one of those. Now, I did see London Lady, my friend Lisa there, had said, thinking about military personnel. I know military was one of the ones. Can you explain some of that, Ed? Because I think military was one of the ones that have been brought up before as well.
It has been. And we've tried to portray this in a number of ways on our website and in the video. So first off, TackSpace has 3 different kind of pillars that we're building the company on. One of them is to empower the American worker. We're an incredibly patriotic company, and we're not going to change that. So when we get close to patriotic holidays, you're going to see the icon for TackSpace change to the red, white, and blue. You're going to see us trying to honor the American men and women who sacrifice deeply for our country. That's something we believe in. If you don't like that, I understand that, but that's what we believe in, and that's what we stand by. So here's where Brian gets back to doing good. Doggone it, a lot of men and women are separated from their families and loved ones for extended amounts of time when they're doing service for our country. TackSpace is an incredible gift to them. So if you don't want a tack puck, perhaps you'll buy one for some service person who could take advantage of it. How could they take advantage? You could take the puck itself and keep it, or have 2 of them, one for you, one for them. Either way, whenever that person overseas would want to communicate to you or to your child or some other loved one, they can do that any time of day, anywhere. A quick sensory message that you can feel. So one of the scenarios or tactiles that we talk about a lot is, imagine a serviceman or woman overseas, and they know their child goes to bed about 8 o'clock Eastern time, every night. they would have the opportunity, even if they're working, even if they're, occupied doing other things, to send a quick sensory message, good night, I love you, to the child. The message would probably go through the other spouse's phone, but ultimately go to the tack puck that is embedded in either the teddy bear or the blanket or what have you. And the child doesn't just hear their dad say good night, but they actually feel that through some vibratory pattern of light, pop-out button that the child's grown to understand is his dad sending a spontaneous, caring message at that time.
So Debbie Hansen asked the question, and she said, for someone that is visually impaired, I think this would be great. Is it fairly user-friendly?
Debbie, it is. We will make it incredibly user-friendly. Once you've paired the device to your phone, and we're all, if you're into wearables, you're doing that. You have to pair your phone to whatever wearable you're using, earpieces, your car, whatever. Okay, you got to do that, but it's a one-time thing. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to think about it anymore. As long as the Bluetooth is on your phone and the puck is on, it's going to work, okay? I think you're onto something there. I've been trying to get the American Federation of the Blind, or American Blind Federation, I can't keep that straight. I'm trying to get a contact with them to help me, because I actually think they might be a great input for the sensory messaging that we choose. The combination of stimuli, because they are challenged with sight and vision, maybe even the deaf, but they can feel. And what are the combinations of stimuli that would be most easily translated into a particular statement? So if you, whoever made that comment, if you know anyone that might allow us, maybe you have a loved one that suffers from those kinds of disabilities, we would love to empower those with those kind of disabilities with this technology, and give me an audience to talk to those kind of people and have them, like you, take part in the evolution of this product.
So Kristen Cardo said she's visiting her local VFW tonight for the 9/11 tribute, and a big, I'm wearing Operation Iraqi Freedom. I had the honor to work alongside our military in Iraq 3 times, Afghanistan twice. I never served active duty. I didn't have that honor, but I was able to work alongside of them. So shout out, of course, to them. And Kristen said she's going to be mentioning it to them as well, which I think is really exciting. And I actually see here that she said Debbie Hansen had said that she's going to contact the Blind Veterans of America, and I think that one is definitely one that hits close to home for sure. And I think that's something that is important, and Lindsay, Ohio Social Mom, shared her story before that, and I think a lot of these use cases and a lot of the questions that are coming up, I think a lot of it has to really do with things that, this is the exciting part about crowdfunding. I don't know if people that are listening are big into crowdfunding, but to make a difference, to be innovative now, you have the ability to do like an Indiegogo campaign or a Kickstarter where you're able to really let us, empower these companies to create great devices. But you also have a part in shaping what they're used for and shaping what the end goal is. And, Eddie, when we first connected, that was one of the things I couldn't be more excited about, because to me, it's like, I talk about it a lot. My favorite thing in the world is connecting great people with great people to do great things. And I think that's what this is about. And if you're listening to this and you're watching this, even if you're watching it on replay and you're saying, wait a second, this could be a great use case for us, reach out to TaxSpace, reach out to Eddie, because I think not only can you support the Indiegogo campaign, but you can help shape use cases. You can help shape bringing things through. So Ms. Kristen Cardos, who was just saying she's heading over to support the 9/11. How are you, Kristen?
I am doing great. And I love seeing Eddie on here again with you. This is awesome, you guys. I'm so excited. And I jumped on the Labor Day special to get.
Oh, you cashed in on that, didn't you?
Oh, I did before you guys were even done talking the other day.
Well, as soon as you're done, we're 20 minutes into this. So as soon as you're done, maybe Kristen, give us a little feedback and a little heads up. We do need to shout this offer out to everyone that's on the Blab session today. We made a little adjustment, and we're going to have a different package available. So Brian touched on this already. Folks, if this is new to you, we are running an Indiegogo campaign right now. It's about 30 days left. We're trying to generate $200,000 in sales. And again, I'm not a good salesman, but I'm going to tell you what we're doing, and this is what crowdfunding allows you to do. If people purchase $200,000 worth of these pucks, then that, at the price that we're selling it at, then that would allow me to pay someone to develop the app, to pay someone to develop the actual puck itself with everything that we've been talking about. I have quotes for all that. I have estimates from designers, electrical engineers. Crowdfunding is about helping people like me bring this kind of product to the market, and you can help craft the product as it's developed along the way. In fact, you're my most valuable resource. Your feedback on the product design is what I'm most interested in, not in profit or anything else right now. So that Indiegogo campaign is up and running right now, and we're going to shout out a special offer for you folks unadvertised here on the Blab session in just a minute. Kristen, talk to us.
Well, I had a question, and this might be something because I was in and out the last time that you were talking, and I've looked at some but not all of your materials, full disclosure. But I was curious how it actually works in terms of what actually makes the transaction happen. Is it a data thing like with your mobile plan, or how does that work?
Great question. An easy answer. Let me tell you first off, for you guys in the audience too, if you go to the website, or better yet, go to the Indiegogo link that hopefully someone's sharing over here in the comments.
It's in there.
There are videos on there that are a whole lot clearer and a whole lot more efficient and a whole lot more smart sounding than listening to me. Okay. But let me just tell you how simple it is. You have some kind of cell phone, I assume. So Kristen, if I wanted to send you a message, I would just simply open up the app. So it all starts with a free app that you just download for free. I open up the app. I choose a message I want to send to Kristen. Kristen, have a great day. All right. I'm going to choose that message. Then I'm going to hit send. And then that's going to be sent one of two ways, either through the internet or through your standard cellular network. Okay. But either way, those platforms will already exist. You don't have to create anything new. It won't be anything new. By the way, it doesn't cost you anything when that message is sent. It's just like a text message that you might receive. All right. You'll receive it on your phone. Your phone app, your TaxSpace app on your phone is going to recognize that message just like your text message does today. It's going to put it into a log, just like your text log today. You open up and you say, Bobby, Billy, and Sue sent me these texts and I missed those earlier today or whatever. And then it's going to send that message via Bluetooth. Now, Bluetooth, is a wireless technology that allows you to connect to other devices. Mm-hmm. It's simply going to immediately go from your phone via Bluetooth to the chip that's inside the tack puck. And the tack puck has the printed circuit board that has the intelligence to simply deliver the stimuli pattern associated with good morning. And then, Kristen, you'd be able to recognize that. If you wanted to, you could press the button on the tack puck. Immediately, I'm going to get a message back that, hey, you received it and you appreciate it.
Awesome.
That's the simplest way I can put it. Okay. If you watch the video, maybe it'll sound even better than me talking about it. But the wonderful thing about TaxSpace and sensory messaging is it doesn't require some kind of new technology. All it requires is a new wearable and a simple mobile app.
Awesome. Love it. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm going to jump out so Lindsay can jump in.
Thank you, Kristen. And give love to your husband.
Thanks for supporting the campaign. Kristen's out there. She's made her purchase.
Oh, hey, Austin, how's it going, my friend?
It's going good, Brian. How are you, man?
I'm doing good. So what do you think? Have you been listening around? You have a question for Eddie?
Well, I actually wanted to put this out there, and this is just in my mind. I come from fitness. That's my where I'm at in the space. Not quite on the crazy fit end, but definitely trying to help people just get a little bit more active, that kind of thing. But I've got 2 half marathons scheduled in the next 6 months. My dad just did his first half marathon this last weekend. And I look at this tech and I'm like, okay. And I don't know if you guys are aware of a guy named KP Kelly.
Yes, he was in here earlier.
Oh, see, well, so
yes, he was going around Ohio, right? Yeah, I'm good friends with. Yeah, I love KP.
All right, so KP, he just endeavored this last weekend to go on a 250-mile run. He made it crazy far and would have totally kicked my tail ever. But I look at it and I'm like, okay, using this technology as a way on those kinds of runs where people can be encouraged and to know that people are praying for them and encouraging them and thinking about them. That I love that use case because I look at it, I mean, on a half marathon, 13.1 miles, around mile 10 or 11, if it's your first or second time, that you hit a barrier. You hit a barrier where it sucks, your feet hurt, you want to stop. Doesn't matter who's rooting for you on the route, but it's one of those moments of if you know that a loved one or someone in your life is got you on their heart and they're pumping for you and they're rooting, I think it could be a huge thing. And I look at this technology as being a huge opportunity for people in that space. And that's half marathons, you know.
Awesome.
I tell you what, I hate running. I ran one half marathon and I said I retired from my half marathon running after that one, because about mile 8, my shin started hurting. Mile 10, I stopped getting motivated.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, my wife is training for a half marathon and plans on doing a full one. And I bring my daughters on the path and we drive around. But I tell you what, if I could send her a message and it's vibrating, let her know, keep going, or giving her that, hey, Chloe's cheering for you. That's a great use case. It never crossed my mind. Eddie, had you thought of that one before?
Not exactly, but it sounds like Austin went to the Brian Fanzo School of Do Good, because doggone it, we need more technology out here that encourages people, more technology that shows that we care about others. I've been really critical of the wearable technology that's out there today, because it's mostly about monitoring me or understanding me and my movements and how far I did this and how far I did that and how I feel. Instead, we've got a wearable technology here that's designed for others, for you to have a way and reach out and encourage others. So have you ever watched somebody running, or maybe you watched your kid playing a sport, or maybe you watched your wife playing a tennis match, and you just wish you had a little earpiece in there and you could tell them, encourage them along the way and what they're doing, because you have this big crowd and competition and everything else. So sending messages to encourage a runner, in a marathon, where, by the way, I've watched runners. I am going to run in another 5K. Marathon is not in my vocabulary, but I will run a 5K. I'm running one for autism here in the next 2 weeks. But if someone could kind of buzz me along the way, by the way, not just one, anybody with the TackSpace app.
Exactly.
So if you're jogging along and you're trying to keep up, and anyone with the free TackSpace app wants to send a shout out, hang in there, keep going. I mean, you're just feeling these. I'm telling you, it's different. It's encouraging you in a different way. And also, it doesn't require you to take out your phone and try to figure out what the message is. Great idea, Austin.
Oh, well,
and Austin,
what was that?
And one thing I was thinking of when you jumped on, Austin, was, I was like, I wonder what Austin's going to say. And Austin's an awesome guy. He's been very supportive, and he's made my day a couple of times over the last couple of weeks with his kind words. But one of the things I was thinking was, like anyone that's on a diet, or anyone that, there's a lot of mentors and people that are coaching and supporting people, right?
Yep.
And so many of those times you're like, hey, I'm coaching someone that's on a diet. They're going to a wedding. I know that there's plenty of impulse. I know there's plenty of the idea that you could send them those messages and kind of, do it the encouraging way, but it doing discreet. And I think, Eddie, you brought up discreet being a big piece before, the fact it can be just a vibrate that only the person feels. It doesn't have to be a light where, it goes off or the person has to look at their phone. I could tell you one of the things for me on my smartwatch was that it was vibrating when I had certain messages, because I had to prioritize my wrist. Otherwise, it would just vibrate all day from Twitter. And to me, that's just another step where it can go even further than that, where, you can send someone a message, hey, I know you're in a tough spot. I hope you can push through. So I love that. Anything else, Austin?
No, the only other thing I would say is, obviously this last weekend we're texting my dad, and he could feel the text, but he then had to put on his glasses, take his phone off his arm, read the text. That's all going against his time, which, that's not, it was a big deal. And so, you know what? I love the idea of this. I love what you were just saying, Brian. I think there's 100 ways to use it. I think we've only, scratched the surface. And I think it just comes down to how creative can you be in how you operate this in your business. And I'm looking forward to it. I want it to make, to work and have a huge success with it. Cause I think this is exactly like you were just saying. This is an opportunity for people to, have a two-way conversation with wearable tech. And it's the first time I've been excited about that. And, I really am. I'm excited about this. Thank you, Brian, for bringing it to my attention, because I've seen it in scopes and things here, and I would have never known.
Awesome. Austin, look, thanks for your input and your idea, and you're a great segue. I think, Brian, we ought to throw out the offer.
Yeah, before we
now.
kick over to Ross, you want to throw out the offer that we're going to put out there for everybody that's in here?
Yeah, hang on, Ross. Sorry about that. Austin, if you want to support this will be your opportunity, okay? Seriously. Okay. So a week ago, we decided to make 50 tack pucks available at 40% off the price, about $59. We did get some traction from that, and we are making our way toward our goal, but we got a long way to go. One of the thoughts the team had, including Brian, is hey, if you only buy one tack clock, then you don't have anyone else to communicate with through sensory messaging back and forth. So the idea today is we're not going to offer one, but 2 tack pucks in the package for $99. So nice. 2 pucks for $99. You'll be able to see that offer on the Indiegogo link. I trust some people have been throwing that up there, right, Brian?
Yeah, it's been out there.
But those links are up there. If you can't find it, just go to tackspace.com, look for Indiegogo, and that'll take you to the page. But instead of offering one, we're going to offer 2 for a total of $99. So pretty good offer. I think it's still, I don't know, it's more than 40% off. That's like almost half price. But I'm doing that again, not as a price, as a way to build some momentum from people that are really early adopters and want to be part, of this. So we got about 30 days left in the campaign. We really are in need of getting going and getting started. So I appreciate, Austin, all your input. Guys, we'll mention this one more time at the end.
Yep. Awesome. Thanks, Austin. All right, Ross. Hey, Ross, how's it going, my friend?
What's up, my buddy?
How's it going? So what are your thoughts? I always appreciate your insights and input.
Well, this is a funny one because I've been thinking about this when I first saw a little bit about it, and I didn't know exactly like the depth of where it was being targeted, exactly. But instantly the strategist in me thought, okay, wait a minute. Where is this? Where are the spaces for this? Because sometimes I think people come out with startups. I work with startups, and they're like, "We're going to do X, Y, Z," and they don't realize that ABC is way smarter for them. Or hey, maybe that won't even be your primary market. Maybe it'll be a secondary market or something. And when you're opening up a new way, in a sense, to communicate, I think again you're starting where it's like you're in outer space, and then trying to find your bearings and saying, oh, we're going to push this, and you got to commit to something, but there's so much out there. My thoughts on this initially were, okay, first I beat it up and I say, okay, well, don't I have vibrations and stuff in my phone? And then I say, why am I going to do this? Do I want another thing? And then I think on the other side of it, and I think instantly, where does my phone not make sense? Because there's a lot of stuff, even like people like, oh, the Apple Watch and this, and I'm thinking, and what problem does that solve? Was there a problem, or have we created something that's an extension, but it's not really solving a problem, and that it makes it hard to get traction? And what I thought about this was I thought, okay, like number one depends on how you can do it, and I would really think about where does it not make sense for me to use my phone? Where are the places? Like I thought one, just sitting here listening, I was like, oh well, what about people who are in the hospital? Because here's someone where instead of flowers, right, you can't be there all day. You have to go to work, but there's someone going through something and you want to be able to give them encouragement throughout the day. And maybe they're not even able to pick up a device. You see what I'm saying? I'm trying to triangulate into these spaces and say, wait a minute, a little, 1, 2, 3 for I love you, or, different things like that. I think there's some entire spaces like that could expand the entire market for it. And it's kind of like with Facebook. Facebook, I think, how I observe their secret sauce, I don't know that that's how they saw it, but they had a built-in audience with their college friends. And that was a very particular thing that if they would have just opened up to everybody, I don't think they would have been the same thing. I think that's the same way with your product. You may find an audience that isn't, it could be as narrow as one particular field or something. But when you have it there and then you start with that bedrock of all of those users that it really makes sense in their industry, then it has to stick around long enough that other people can trickle in and find new creative ways to use it. Because I think in a way you can't go out for everybody at the onset, but really narrow down and say, who has a problem? Just like when he was talking about running a marathon. Yeah, you're not picking up your phone. You're not doing this, and you need encouragement. Like I would have a set of narrow things where I break down exactly like, okay, who is it that doesn't have a phone? Where are they going where they don't have their phone necessarily or want to look at their phone? And I also thought, don't eliminate the whole idea of there's the watches and the bands for executives that kind of vibrate and tell them, okay, their next meeting and all this. I would say that is an enormous, even if that wasn't the initial idea, and there's already places in that space, I think that you absolutely want to have a concrete foundation where it integrates with the personal reminders and the personal messages. And, oh, I've got, 3 clicks for my oil change or whatever it is. I think there's some more use for it too.
Ross, that's great advice. That's good business advice. So Ross doesn't have questions pretty much, but he's got some great business advice. And we've been talking a bit about that, my friend. Instead of maybe launching the product in a global way, the way we're doing it now across all humanity on Indiegogo, instead we narrow the focus to the education market, or Lindsay's going to talk to us about maybe people with special needs, or maybe it's in healthcare, as you mentioned before. If you watch the videos on our website, you'll see that we touched on that application as well, and see if we can get traction there in a very close, narrow market, and then go from there. So Ross, great advice, dude.
Yeah, and I think there's also, I think one of the ones I thought was really interesting is Kristen Cardo said last week, her husband rides a motorcycle for 11 hours a day, and the fact that she could send him messages without him having to pull out his phone when he's riding a motorcycle. I mean, the amount of people that have motorcycles that the spouse sits at home worried about, are they going to make it home, or are they going to go on a long trip? I think, that's even one, or even ones for people that are driving. We're not supposed to have our phone out, right? And the idea that you can send a message and even double tap back to let people know that you're on your way home. I think those are great use cases. And then Ross, I think that's a really good point. And thanks so much for jumping in, my friend.
Thanks, Ross.
Hey, Lindsay, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you guys?
Feeling good.
Good. So before I have questions that I just thought of, but before I ask them, I'll just, I'll ask the question first because it has to go in. So, how far does the Bluetooth talk to the puck? Because maybe that's been asked, but I haven't heard the answer.
Yeah, it's a great question, and you're going to make me spill another piece of information I wasn't going to spill, but let's do it. So it depends on barriers and walls and things like that. But Brian has a Pebble watch like mine, and if I get out of range, it will signal to me that it's lost its contact. The rough number is 50 feet. Of course, it depends on how many walls and barriers you might be between you and the puck. So let me make 2 comments about that. Here's the reason why it's nice to have a range like 50 feet or whatever it is, because inherent in this technology, it's going to help you keep up with your puck. And believe it or not, the puck is going to help you keep up with your phone. How does that work? Well, what if I leave my puck in my pants and put it in the dirty clothes and walk back in the den to watch TV and forgot that I had the puck in my wearable, in my pocket or whatever? My phone is going to buzz. My phone is going to give me a warning on the Tack Space app to say, you're out of range of your tack puck. So that's going to tell me, oh, what happened to my tack puck? It's not in range. I'm going to go find it, right? But even better, what if I leave my phone at a restaurant? I got my tack puck in my pocket or whatever. I got my tack puck against the skin. I walk outside the restaurant. Guess what happens? The tack puck is going to vibrate in a way that you're going to recognize and alert you that, you know what? Your phone is out of range. So now you go back to the restaurant and get your phone. Now,
and just to clarify, though, the limitation is really based on the Bluetooth technology, correct? So, I mean, as Bluetooth 4.0 comes out, as the Bluetooth technology increases, that distance and ability to travel between walls or go above and beyond. For me, Bluetooth I run so many things in my house via Bluetooth, and that proximity used to be for my drop camera. I had to be in the room of my daughter's room, and now we've gone to, the newest Bluetooth technology where as long as I'm on the main floor or somewhere close enough to the upper floor, I can actually control the camera via Bluetooth. So I'm excited because I think as these kind of technologies increase, Bluetooth technology is also increasing, allowing us to even broaden that distance or even kind of create a little bit more, Bluetooth extenders and those kind of things if we wanted to have instances from that as well.
But I think where Lindsay's going, and I'm just going to touch on this a little bit because it gets really technical, is there is technology out there today that would allow us to put a chip in the wearable so it would not have to be paired to a phone to work. I don't want to go down this road too far,
right? Because
actually one of my colleagues in the Bay Area brought this on to me. Some of you technical people are familiar with what's called the Internet of Things, IoT. Mm-hmm. And so instead of thinking of the tack puck being driven by cellular networks or even Bluetooth, it can be done via the internet. So as long as you have internet service, the puck would receive the message. If you wanted to see what the message was, though, of course, you'd have to get on the app on either your phone or on a computer and see any message, to see your log, to know that what you missed and what someone sent, and if you didn't understand a certain message you got. But if you're thinking about kids, and every kid that's out there, maybe your son's age, doesn't have a phone, so he doesn't have a way to Bluetooth pair a device. Instead, you'd like something you'd be able to send directly from your phone to his tack puck. That is a doable technology. That's something we're also considering. We just don't want to confuse our public right now and get the product out there using simple, low energy Bluetooth technology.
Awesome. Well, so I was just going to talk a little bit about, for example, last night, I take my son to gymnastics. It is, it's not working out so well. I don't think we'll be going back. It's just not for him. Gymnastics is not for little boys that don't like to sit still and wait. So, for example, though, last night, we were not that far away out of range, but last night would have been perfect for, as a mom, I'm not allowed to go out on the floor. And when he's misbehaving, instead of me giving him dirty looks through the window, I could have buzzed his wearable and got him back in line. That's just one way of thinking about it. The other things that I was thinking of was, he has a sensory processing issue. And it's funny because another one of our friends called me on the phone after this and was like, oh my gosh, so does my daughter. Like, I had no idea. So I won't call him out because he's not in the room. But so, it's when you're the parent of a special needs kid, it's hard to, you want them to be in a typical situation, and you don't want to really call attention to them when they have maybe an unseen special need. So it's kind of one of those invisible special needs. So I want him to be in that situation, but not be able to just kind of call him out and be like, he's special. Can't you just understand? He's not, having a meltdown because he's bad. He's just not having a good day.
You need a plug for the instructor too, Lindsay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get the instructor a plug too, and you'll be able to send him those messages. Doggone it, leave my kid alone. He's got some issues.
Yeah, they're very nice, but I understand, and it's not fair to the other kids when your kid is viewed as misbehaving and then they don't get their time. But anyway, so but when they're in the middle of that, like, nobody can reach them time. And I know a lot of autism parents have this problem that there's so much going on that they just can't focus at all. And so to be able to do something that will immediately draw their focus in a sensory way, in a touch way, because we know that those kids do handle touch a lot differently than a typical child would. I think that's just something the best tool that you could have. And I see it, as you know, Eddie, I'm working on getting in touch with our local early intervention program, because this is something they definitely would be on board with, which is part of the Help Me Grow special needs community. So I definitely see it used for that purpose. Well, adults and children as well.
Lindsay wins the award, I think, for the most unique application. Now, I don't want to go around this talk too much, but my daughter is an occupational therapist assistant. And she's just started her career here in Arizona, and she only works with kids. She's only working in pediatrics. So I'm thinking, she's helping these kids to walk, to run, to swing, to do the basic thing kids do. But almost half of her clientele are kids that suffer from some form of SPD. Is that what you call it? Sensory processing disorder. Yep. And so we sit at the dinner table every night and hear these stories about them basically, I hate to say it this way, but just basically misbehaving. And the nice word she uses is they can't regulate themselves. Yep. Okay. Now, when I misbehave, my parents grabbed me by the neck. They didn't tell me to start regulating yourself. But I don't mean to make a joke of his condition.
I've told my son to regulate
yourself. I think that's much more proper. I'm not making light of the issue, right? We're just joking around. But here's the thing. To think of a sensory, tactile, haptic message as being more calming for a person that's trying to process all those sensory things, Lindsay, that is quite unique. So let me send this shout. By the way, my daughter and her boss, who runs this multi-campus clinic, is listening in on these blab sessions, Brian. and maybe something can come of that. So can I give a quick shout out in this way? Folks, if you think you have a good application in some particular market, some particular area like healthcare, special needs, the blind, education applications, I'm telling you, if you contact me and you can get me the right person who is an influencer and can give me an audience with people to pitch this, sometimes I think we're just one email away. I'm one pitch away from a group like that says, healthcare? You mean we could give a tack puck to all of our patients and improve their patient care by allowing people that have the app to send encouraging messages to our patients while they're here? Forget your campaign. We'll buy the 2,000 pucks to get it started, right? It's kind of like what the fellow was saying a little bit earlier. If we focus on a particular market, we may get all the support we need to get this grounded, and then it can grow, from there. So anybody listening to this that has a good contact, I will get on an airplane and go and get in front of these audiences when you're talking about an application like that.
You know what, Eddie, you just racked my brain, because I do have a contact that could put you in front of a lot of healthcare people, like almost all of them. So we'll talk about that later.
Let's talk about that.
Think about it before.
That's what it's all about. We can get the product launched by leveraging a group like that. But I really believe that in time, we can all enjoy it. We'll all enjoy, just like we do texting, we're all going to enjoy this supplemental way to communicate, so that we don't have to read and type our text, but instead use other senses that God's given us to understand these kind of things. Thanks, Lindsay.
Yes, thank you.
Lindsay. All right, so for everyone that was joining in, if I pushed the link out there for last week's show where we actually talked about the story and a lot of the background here, and this will be available for replay as well. But we dropped the Indiegogo link. Remember, this is TaxSpace's crowdfunding their solution, and you can participate in that and support the cause. The deal, the promo that they're running right now is you can actually get 2 pucks for $99. Therefore, you're getting 2 of the tack pucks. Anyone can download the app, so it's unlimited amount of people that can send the message, and then 2 people can wear the tack puck on them or have it on them and receive that sensory messaging. And so we're doing that directly for this audience, for this cause. The link has been dropped in there a couple times. I'll make sure you guys see that in there. We really do, love the conversation. I think, Eddie, we were talking about this earlier. The new use cases and ideas and available possibilities of this technology are only growing each time we have these conversations. So if if you're supporting the campaign, or you can't pull the trigger on it now, by simply going to the campaign, sharing it out on your social channels, educating people, even letting them know about this replay, and even connecting someone with Eddie that might be the right person to hear this story and hear this conversation, I think it'll be kind of the step in the right direction. I agree. You said an email away, and Jilly Sue, a good friend in there, said maybe it's even just as little as a tweet away. So if you guys can support in that way, I think that's important as well. So, Eddie, any last words or any last thing to clarify before we sign off for today?
Yeah, I'd like to bring it to a close. This has been a great audience, but let me just make a plea. Folks, I appreciate all of your feedback and all of your input. I really do. If we don't get funded in the next 30 days, I don't know what the next step's going to be. I'm not planning on giving up or anything like that. I don't even like to say that phrase, if we don't. Brian and I say, when we get funded, then what are we going to do? But that's not going to happen without your help. We have a great technology. It's patented and protected. No one else, not even Apple, can steal it. We have a wonderful website. We have wonderful people like Brian who want to do good. The only thing we don't have is you. The only thing we don't have are early adopters who care about new technology that encourages other people to fund this technology in a way that will allow them to enjoy the technology first. And again, I've told you before, one thing I don't suffer from is a big ego. I don't care where the ideas come from. In fact, I'd prefer them to come from my user group. And I will promise every one of you, your input will be used and valued in the development of TaxSpace app and the Tack Puck itself. But only you right now can bring this technology to market. So I'm pleading. I'm not being, proper about it. I'm being direct about it. We need your help. on the Indiegogo campaign. In fact, I think if you could just help us get this thing kick-started with more momentum and we could get to 20, 40% funded, then I think a lot of international random people, if you will dive in and see that, hey, this is going to get a funded campaign. It's going to happen, so they'll support it. So that's kind of all my comments. Please get on the Indiegogo campaign. Please take advantage of the discount we have right now. Basically, getting 2 pucks for $50 each. That's pretty inexpensive. You'd be hard pressed to buy any wearable, for that price, especially one that's not even on the market yet. So I thank you, and I appreciate your time, your input, your questions. If more questions come up, I've seen more comments on applications than questions, quite honestly. But if there are questions, I want to answer every single one of them. We can do that on these sessions, or if you're on our website and you hit contact, you can send any question you want. It comes directly to me. It doesn't go to anyone else, and I will make sure that you get an answer. Brian, thanks for your energy around this whole thing and your heart and your whole position on doing good for others. Folks, let's get tack together.
Love it. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you for tuning in. Have a great weekend. And if you can, make